Hello and welcome to another episode of the Prog Report Reacts. My name is Kyle Fagala, and today we're going to be reacting to the brand new single by Trevor Rabin called Big Mistakes. And if you've been keeping up with Trevor Rabin, it's been a while. So I'm excited to be doing this. Now, I'm admittedly not the world's biggest Yes fan on this podcast. That would be Jeff Bailey, but specific to Trevor Rabin, actually, Roy Avon, who runs this thing, he's an enormous Trevor Rabin fan. And then Prog Nick is like Trevor Rabin from South Africa. And so I don't know why I'm doing this reaction. It should be one of them, but here I am. I'm vaguely familiar with Trevor Rabin's career, but I am excited to listen to this track. If you don't know Trevor, he is from South Africa. He's one of these Renaissance men in the music industry. He's a guitarist, singer, multi-musician, writer, producer. What doesn't he do? He recently announced his new album, Rio, which is his first solo album with vocals in 34 years. I'm 39, so it's been a while for him. It's set to release on October the 6th, and it's on Inside Out Records. And so, again, I'm going to be reacting to this first single called Big Mistakes. So, a little bit of history, because I always like to read up on who it is that I'm going to be reacting to before I get on here. And what if I have no clue? So a little bit of history on him if you aren't familiar. He is the guy behind a lot of Yes's biggest kind of 80s into 90s, early 90s hits. Owner of a Lonely Heart kind of being the biggest one of Yes's biggest songs. To be fair, like as a kid growing up on rock radio in Jonesboro, Arkansas, Owner of a Lonely Heart, for me at least, was their best known song. Of course, going back, into their history as I got into prog rock, not necessarily my favorite song, but I think it's an awesome song. I love specifically the snare sound on that song, for what it's worth. He also, though, wrote Changes, Love Will Find a Way, and Leave It, which are big songs, of course, by Yes. Here's a funny thing. He has contributed to over 100 movie and TV soundtracks. He even wrote the theme for the NBA basketball on TNT, which I'm a huge NBA fan. So when I found that out, it's just a couple years ago I found that out. I was like, oh, that's amazing. His last solo album was the instrumental record Jacaranda. That was in 2012. But his last solo album with vocals was actually all the way back again to 1989, 34 years ago. His last album with Yes was 95's Talk. And he's really focused mostly on film scores since then. I'm guessing they pay better than working on progressive rock albums at this stage. He did, you probably know, since you're watching this on the Prog Report, he did rejoin with John Anderson and Rick Wakeman in 2016 to form ARW, Anderson, Rabin, Wakeman. And they did, it turned out, over 200 shows on a world tour that lasted about 2 years. And the live album, I know there's like the fake audience sound, but it sounds great. I think it's on some levels the best that Yes has sounded in a while, not to start any arguments among the commenters on this. Yes was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2017. He was a part of that. And as I was reading kind of in some of the liner notes for this, he's been wanting to work on this solo album for some time now, but he kept putting it off. But he started in on it in August of 2021, and then that has now become Rio, which comes out in October. Okay, so enough of the prologue here. Let's jump into the track, and I think it'll be fun. So I have no idea what I'm going to be hearing here, so let's give it a shot. All right, let me just pause it for a second to say I really like this. This is not super proggy. To me, I'm immediately thinking more straight ahead, I don't know, pop punk, even like late 80s, early 90s, like kind of Americana rock. There's a definite sort of Tom Petty vibe to this to me, kind of his late 80s stuff. And even, dare I say, one of my favorite groups, Wilco. I think Wilco's debut AM, which is 94, I think it is. So it kind of fits in that sort of, I don't know, even around the era of talk, kind of in that era of what do you call that? Almost, it's not post grunge, but it's that sort of Americana alternative rock, a touch of indie rock, but just straight ahead rock, kind of what those bands do. I love kind of the way that the guitar cuts on this song. It's great. I did look up who was drumming on this thing because I think Rabin plays everything on this, but he's not a drummer. And so it is Lou Molina, who also played on his solo album 80 from 89, Can't Look Away. And he was the drummer on the ARW tour. The song kicks in with that drum fill that's great. And the drums sound very tasteful. Huge fan of that. While I'm listening to the rest of it, I'm going to look up, there's a song in my mind. It's a Tom Petty song from the late 80s that this sounds like. I'll be Googling that. And there's also a Wilco song. And I think actually, I mean, listen to it a little bit more. I'll save that for the next break that it also reminds me of. We'll come back and have a few more comments here in a moment. All right, looks like he's going into a solo, but before that, I've got to finish up on my Tom Petty reference. It's the song "Jammin' Me." It's on the '87 album "Let Me Up, I've Had Enough." That's what this reminds me of. And then the Wilco song that occurred to me, and I have to Google it. It's "Casino Queen." Casino Queen. It's got the same sort of like driving, like great rock riff, way up in the mix with driving drums. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know what it reminds you of. I think obviously with kind of these vocal approaches where you've got lots of layered vocals, Trevor's vocal, his main vocal sounds great, but there's some female kind of oohs and ahs and background stuff along with Trevor doing some other harmonies, it sounds like. I mean, I guess that's sort of ELO, Beatles-esque, Jeff Lynne type stuff. Sounds really good. The other big thing I would say is the bass guitar. Obviously, Trevor's playing that as well, and I know there's talk of him contributing even some bass on some of the Yes albums. I mean, obviously, Chris Squire is a genius and a legend and deserves all the praise he can get. But Trevor is no slouch, and so if you're listening on headphones, you've got, it looks like it was even panned over to the right, or sounds like it rather, him playing some really busy sort of McCartney Squire-esque bass runs, which sound awesome. So definitely get some headphones on and listen to that. I like this. This is stuff I like. I love power pop and straight ahead rock, and not getting, again, a lot of like prog, and that's okay. But really well produced track. So looks like we have a Strat solo coming. So let's listen to that. guitar. Hey. All right, so we're back to the chorus here, but I have to comment on that solo. That was not what I was expecting because the song has been so melodic to this point, and then the guitar solo with the slide and kind of some atonal choices. And I'm not a guitar player, so don't have me talking music theory here, please. But that was not what I was expecting, but it's cool. It became kind of muddy and swampy on the drums, and the bass kind of, I don't know, you hit it like a super fuzz or something, like kind of became darker in a way, which I think was cool. Sounded neat. So I was expecting sort of a more melodic, I don't know, guitar solo, but that does take me back again, kind of in keeping with the theme, to sort of, I don't know, like early 90s, sort of like grunge influenced, even like some Soundgarden sort of a, like what would they do on a guitar solo type thing. In the midst of this song that admittedly sounds kind of 80s esque in its production and approach, and cool song. So let's see, we got a couple minutes left. Let's jump back into it. Yeah, that was cool. So we got a little na 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 na. That reminds me of "Love and Touch and Squeezing" by Journey. I guess maybe some "Hey Jude" in there too, but that was unexpected. And then coming back to a solo that was a little bit more in line with what I was expecting from that middle song solo, which was cool. And a little break there for a little cell phone or telephone part. Cool song. It's definitely an earworm. I mean, that's kind of what Rabin is known for, is being able to write melodies that stick with you, and definitely he's not lost that. It's a great debut single, I would say. This is one that I want to go back and listen to right after this. I was doing some Googling as well here to try to figure out some other details. I was taken with this bass, and I was trying to figure out, it's obviously, you can just look at it and see kind of exotic wood, and it's a handcrafted bass. I know it's one of the expensive ones, and I found it. It's called an Alembic, is the bass maker. And part of the reason I was reminded of it is it's the same bass maker that does John Entwistle's Spider bass from The Who. So obviously, totally different shape than this one, which has sort of like some elements of the SG guitar. But that is not a cheap bass. Okay. But man, the bass playing, actually, like, my takeaway on this track is two things. It's the bass guitar playing is exceptional. There's some really cool stuff in there. And then just the production, the aura, the feel, the approach of the song. Again, I'm sort of stuck on it, but is sort of Tom Petty, Wilco, kind of late 80s, early 90s, just straight ahead rock. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it kind of bleeds into the Americana feel of those two artists maybe as much. But that is the approach, which I always dig. I did see earlier, I was kind of cheating a little bit, looking through some of the comments, just to see what people say, which most people just say the same thing, which is, yeah, this is awesome. Can't wait to hear the album, But someone said that this was like 90126. um, and I don't know if I exactly get that as much. Roy actually mentioned this to me, is that to him it sounds like the song "The Calling" from the album Talk, and so I think that is accurate. Before listening to this, I went and listened to that track just to kind of get a sense of what I was expecting, and I definitely hear the connection there. Although I do get a little bit more again on that Tom Petty Wilco side, kind of straight ahead rock. This feels like something that could have been on MTV, 1989, 1993, 1994. Certainly not grunge, but you get what I'm saying. So, cool song. Album is out October 6th. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is not an artist I'm as familiar with as some of the others I've done reaction videos on. But it's always cool to find kind of musical commonality from an artist that I'm familiar with, but obviously have not listened to nearly as much as some other stuff. And so this has got me thinking, you know what, Kyle? You need to go back and listen to his other solo album, Can't Look Away. I think I'll find a lot there that I like. It's rare to have someone, like a Jeff Lynne or Steven Wilson, that can kind of do everything, can play everything, is able to write consistently catchy melodies and good music, and also produce and engineer it, play different instruments. It's rare to have someone like that. Of course, even like a Neil Morris, who I love. But yeah, this was Trevor Rabin, Big Mistakes. Look out for his album here in about a month or so. This has been Kyle Fagala blathering about music, the drummer here, who has no right to be commenting on anything Trevor Rabin does. But I will say the drums on this were great. Really, really tastefully done. So Lou Molina, if you're out there, kudos to you, sir. The drums sound awesome. Lots of ghost notes and things that make it really interesting. Really great production, as you would expect from Trevor Rabin. But this has been the Prog Report Reacts. If you've got a song you want us to react to that doesn't suck, send it over to us. Actually, send it to Roy. Don't bother me. Send it to Roy. Maybe we'll get around to doing another one of these. So hope you dudes and dudettes are doing awesome. What was that? I don't know. I'm headed to Morse Fest this weekend, so if you're going to be there, I'll see you there. But that's it for us from the Prog Report. We'll see you very, very soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on all our socials and on progreport.com for all your news, interviews, reviews, and more. And we'll see you again real soon.